The other consideration between market-based and command-based policies to incentivize emission reduction is which one protects individuals better based on their own choices and the tendencies to make mistakes. For example, buying a car based on just present fuel efficiency or present cost and not thinking carefully about addition of fuel into the lifetime of the car or the vehicle that you're buying, right? So what happens when individuals can't figure out which action will save them money? It's not always easy, right? Mistakes in decision making could be corrected by a command-based policy that forces people to do items near the top of the cost effectiveness list and prevents them from buying items that are too far down on the list, so are too expensive to be worthwhile. So the regulations can just make sure that when you want to go and buy something, the choices have been made for you and the most cost-effective choices are made available, and not just a number of choices where you don't know which one is which, or the brand that you are addicted to, like an iPhone or a particular brand of clothing or car or whatever, is not the most cost effective in terms of reducing emissions. Okay, such a policy of course would be very difficult to write since the correct decisions could be different for different individuals. The example used here, I will show in a minute, is that when you go to buy something, it depends on your preference, your sense of utility or the benefits from spending more or less, and what you think may be the image. Let's say carrying a Gucci bag has a different image than carrying a Kmart bag, which Kmart doesn't even exist now. Let's say Walmart bag, right? So you need a very long list to do that if you were to cover all the products. An impossibly large amount of data would be needed for the government to figure out which correct mandate works for everybody in terms of cost effectiveness. And of course, even if you had data for, let's say, which kind of tennis ball you would want people to buy, enforcing it would be difficult. The brief example I will just repeat verbatim from the book is that there are 2 cans of tennis balls when you go to the sports store or to Walmart. The brand A has a cost of $9, where the company produces with a certain carbon footprint. So the cost of making it is $5. It has paid $3 in carbon taxes, and it's making $1 in profit, so it set a price at $9. And then brand B has a price of $7 because its cost of making is $6, but it's making it in a carbon-free factory, so it's not paying this $3 in carbon tax like brand A is. So it's still adding $1 profit and selling you at $7. Okay, so here the person may be a recreational player and might just want a cheaper ball, or it could be a professional who prefers a certain brand, so may want to or be willing to pay a higher price and not worry about the carbon footprint. So the command-based system would just, let's say, remove $9 and say we will reduce carbon footprint and not worry about the revenue, because revenues from taxes are considered generally distortionary for the economics because of the way they would affect incentives for labor market, employer, employee, etc., etc. We won't go into the details. Okay. And the brand B that has a lower cost because of carbon-free environment may already have done that because of a carbon tax. Okay, so the argument is that the carbon tax, instead of the command-based policy, would in this case allow the users, the buyers of tennis balls, to choose whatever way they want. They want to pay a tax and carbon tax and pay higher value, higher cost for the tennis balls. Let them do it. and those who want to just buy an economic ball may just buy the cheaper ball. Okay, so people may buy brand A anyway because of internality. So let's say they know the brand name from before, like going to buy jeans, and you say you know Wrangler and Levi's, and you somehow think Levi's is more stylish and more urban or whatever, whereas Wrangler is maybe better for working in the rural areas, in the farms, in the fields, or whatever, or I'm just making it up. So you know what I mean. So people may think expensive one has a better quality as well. I often go on Amazon and look at products and think the expensive one may somehow be a better product based on no real data, right? Command-based policies can remove the non-carbon free one from the shelf and force you to buy something and remove the brand you want to buy. Maybe some people should buy the better ball anyways, even if it costs more, because they are professionals. Okay. Heuristic arguments, but again goes towards saying that command-based policies do not give you a choice, do not cover all the cost-effectiveness options, and may just pick the wrong option for you. Okay, so if you looked at 1997, the climate legislation was there in a certain number of countries. You can see on the map here, US, Mexico, and some South American countries, some African countries, many European countries, China, Japan, I think Thailand here, and so on, and Singapore, and so on and so forth. But when you look at 2017, the map is almost completely blue, because the number of laws has also increased. So dark blue colors here, Brazil, and European countries, UK and Italy and Spain, have many more, and especially down here in Indonesia, surprisingly, and some African countries down here. I wouldn't be able to say which ones are those. Nonetheless, each country is now imposing some sort of a command-based or carbon market-based cost on emission. So looking by country here, this is in 2019. You can see there are carbon tax approaches in many countries, and there are cap and trade approaches in many countries. We discussed cap and trade a little bit. Cap and trade is kind of a market-based like approach where the incentives vary independent of global warming and the urgency of action, as we will see in a minute. So it's not exactly like carbon tax, but it is a market-based tool where emitters and high emitters and low emitters can trade their permits to drive cost effectiveness and emissions reductions. Okay, so obviously complicated story, but obviously also emissions are not coming down, so nothing is incredibly effective as of yet.